With this cool animation, Aaliyah announced the beginning of a new era. After years of releasing successful soundtrack singles, building an international audience, and taking over Hollywood, Aaliyah was ready to showcase a more mature and edgier side of herself. Sadly, the era was cut short by a tragedy that shook the world of music and immortalized her as a visionary gone too soon. But the legacy of Aaliyah is as strong as ever, more than 2 decades after her untimely passing. Welcome to the Unsleever. I have been waiting to do this video for so long and now it's finally here, in time for the 25th anniversary of the release of Aaliyah's self-titled album. This album is so special to me. It is one of my all-time favorite albums and I have so many memories attached to it. Most of them are sad, I'm not gonna lie, but the build-up to the era and that month between album release and Aaliyah's passing were some of my most precious memories as a music lover. I vividly remember going to pick up the CD on release day and listening to the album for the first time. In this video, I will discuss the making of the album, the era, and the legacy of Aaliyah. And as always, I also have some unsleevings for you. You can check out my other album deep dives on my channel and subscribe for more videos like this one.
I have to honestly say that everything is worth it. The hard work, the times when you're tired, the times when you're a bit sad. In the end, it's all worth it because it really makes me happy. And I wouldn't trade it for anything else in the world. Right now it's hard to say what I want my legacy to be, what I want people to say when I'm long gone. I want people to look at me as a full-on entertainer and a good person.
Before I get into the process of making the album, it's important to understand the position it takes in Aaliyah's career at the time and what came before it. Aaliyah had originally started recording the follow-up to 1996's One in a Million in 1998, but the recording of the album was temporarily stopped to focus on other projects. Aaliyah's rise between 1996 and 2001 was quite significant, especially when it comes to international markets. During that time, she managed to turn the narrative around from the mess that was her first album era by introducing the production duo of Timbaland and Missy Elliott. And although One in a Million, the album, was still on its way to reach the status of one of the most innovative R&B records in history, things were about to change. This collaboration with Timbaland was highly praised, but they were still missing that one song. I'm not talking necessarily in commercial terms, but one that would really catapult this collaboration into the social consciousness. Enter Dr. Dolittle. In May 1998, Aaliyah released one of her seminal works with Timbaland, Are You That Somebody? The song was weird, catchy, and completely against what was being played on radios at the time. It's even been reported that some radio stations refused to play the song because it was too weird to blend in with other songs, and the baby sample was just too unusual. This song, being part of the successful Dr. Dolittle movie, ensured that Aaliyah also reached international markets more easily. Are You That Somebody was the song I discovered Aaliyah with, and I instantly fell in love with her and her music. It was simply the coolest song I had ever listened to, and that music video was perfection, the complete package. That same year, she had also become the youngest performer at the Oscars with her song for the Anastasia soundtrack, Journey to the Past. She also did a song for the Music of the Heart soundtrack called Turn the Page. I can't listen to that song without getting teary-eyed. But the success of Are You That Somebody was just a build-up to something greater. Romeo Must Die.
Come on. No, hush.
You all right, Trish?
Oh, I'm fine, Dad. I'm just a little fidgety, but I'm okay.
Listen, baby, you hungry? They're gonna get some pizza downstairs. You say the word to bring it right on up, all right?
Oh, yeah, I'm fine. I'm straight. I'm not hungry. If I get hungry, I'll let them know.
Be back after a while.
Okay.
Aaliyah's debut film came out in March 2000 and it co-starred Jet Li. She received praise for her acting, although the movie was not well received by critics. It still did pretty good numbers. Aaliyah contributed 4 songs to the soundtrack, and among them was included what could be considered her biggest hit, Try Again. The song became Aaliyah's first #1 on the Billboard Hot 100 and made history as the first song to reach the summit based on radio airplay alone. This song catapulted Aaliyah to global superstardom and heated things up for the next album. One of my favorite moments was when she won the Best Female Video at the VMAs. It felt amazing to see her recognized on such a huge platform.
This was a shot. This is a big shot. I just started filming Anne Rice's Queen of the Damned in Australia, and my brother and I flew 22 hours to be here just in appreciation of the nomination. So thank you so much.
The first sessions for the album date as far back as 1998, but the recording was stopped when Aaliyah started her film career. During this time, Aaliyah's label, Blackground Records, run by her uncle and cousin, finished their distribution deal with Atlantic Records and signed an even bigger one with Virgin Records in 2000. And this is when the interest in restarting the process for the third album picked up again. Aaliyah's schedule was packed, and she moved to Australia from October 2000 to February 2001 to shoot Queen of the Damned. Pressures from the label to get the album finished as soon as possible made them fly out the team to Australia to finish the album. So she would shoot during the day and go to the recording studio at night. The production team was composed of Eric Seats and Rapture Steweart, who were part of the duo Key Beats, Bada, Jeffrey J. Dub Walker, alongside songwriters Tank and Benjamin Digital Black Bush and Static Major, who were both part of the group Playa. Due to the limited schedule for Aaliyah to record her vocals, the team wrote and produced the tracks in different studios across the US before flying to Australia. There, they spent a bit over a month finishing Aaliyah's vocals and adding some changes before flying back to the US to finalize the mix and mastering. But two pivotal figures in Aaliyah's sound evolution were missing: Timbaland and Missy Elliott. There's conflicting information about whether they were on good terms during that time. What we know for sure is that the only contribution by Missy was on the song I Care For You, which was produced by Timbaland during the 1 in a Million sessions. Aaliyah loved the song so much that she held on to it for 5 years until the opportunity came up to include it on her album. The last known song in which Aaliyah and Missy Elliott collaborated was Where Could He Be, which samples Lisa Stansfield's big hit Been Around the World and also features vocals by Tweet. This session was probably carried out sometime in 1999 or 2000. As for Timbaland, he contributed 2 new songs to the album, far from the number of tracks he did for 1 in a Million and all the other collaborations they had made together throughout the years as part of the Super Friends, the group involving, among others, Missy, Timbaland, Magoo, and Genuine. More Than a Woman and We Need a Resolution were completed after the Australia period in New York City. They were both written by Static Major, another key figure in Aaliyah's career and on this album. At the time, Timbaland was unhappy with his artist deal with Blackground, which seems to have affected his relationship with Aaliyah. Timbaland said she wanted him and Missy to fly down to Australia with the rest of the team, but by then they were in high demand, so they decided not to go. But there are different versions of the story that claim they were actually not on good terms. Genuine said so in a couple of interviews.
Unfortunately, we weren't talking when she passed. She wasn't talking to Timbaland, or I think her and Missy fell out as well. Oh, wow. But we still had love, everyone was still loving and all that.
Tim Barnett, Static Major's personal assistant, also claims they were not on good terms at the time. Missy has since denied these claims, which led Genuine to rectify. But not having both Missy and Timbaland from the core team of Collaborators didn't stop them. In fact, it may have been a blessing in disguise. Aaliyah once again was working with new people, or people who had not gotten their big break yet. She was at her peak, and a lot of people had approached her to work with her, but she followed her instinct and knew that this was the team that was going to push her sound forward, and she was not wrong.
The album is, in my opinion, really good. It's self-titled, Aaliyah. We have 13 songs plus a bonus track, and it speaks about relationships, every kind of relationship, from bad ones to good ones to even abusive ones. We have a lot of party tracks, a lot of big, beautiful ballads, as well as subtle ballads, and it's very edgy, it's very dark in some instances, but it's a lot of fun as well.
If there is someone besides Aaliyah that deserves a huge part of the credit for the greatness of this album, that is Steven Garrett, aka Static Major. He and Aaliyah had great chemistry and a very good friendship. Steven was instrumental in the choice of songs for the album, with him working in the studio with the producers and seeing which beats he could write to. He would also discuss different themes with Aaliyah and then implement her thoughts and feelings into the lyrics. He wrote every song on the album, apart from I Care For You and the two rock-leaning tracks I Can Be and What If, both of which were written by Tank. But the production team was the other key element in creating this masterpiece. Key Beats worked on 7 tracks for the album. Loose Rap was one of Aaliyah's favorites. Key Beats are also the team behind one of the most beloved songs by Aaliyah, Rock the Boat. In an in-depth interview about the album with Vibe magazine, Eric Seats explained how the song almost didn't happen. I almost deleted Rock the Boat because I'm the kind of guy that once I start producing a track and I don't feel it right away sometimes, I would delete it and just start something over fresh. Thank God this day my headphones were so loud and Static overheard what was going on in the headphones. He asked, "What's that, Seats?" And I said, "It's nothing." And he's like, "Let me hear it." I put the headphones on him and I went to the restroom. When I came back, he already had the hook. Since he had an interest in it, I said, "Let me go and continue building on it. Let me embellish it. Make something happen since you're feeling it." We didn't know it was going to end up being Rock the Boat. Elsewhere on the album, they contributed Extra Smooth, a song about being annoyed at an arrogant guy hitting on you, You Got Nerve, which I find one of the most underrated songs on the album, and had Aaliyah singing in a completely different way for the first time. Finally, they worked on 2 fan favorites. The first one is It's Whatever, a breezy ballad with one of the most recognizable instrumentals in the whole album. Eric Seats said in the same interview that this song had the least amount of tracks in the mix, as opposed to the other songs on the album. The other one is Those Were the Days, which Static Major originally planned for his group Playa, but ended up giving it to Aaliyah. Finally, there is bonus track Messed Up. Aaliyah loved this song, but there weren't plans to include it on the main album, so she made sure to have it as the bonus track as there were other people interested in it. Producer Steven Anderson, also known as Bada, did 3 songs for the album. Never No More talks about an abusive relationship and the decision to leave that person behind. It has one of my favorite productions on the album. Read Between the Lines incorporates Latin elements with a hip-hop beat, an interesting mix as the US was going through the Latin boom years. The final song that Bada contributed is I Can Be. This is one of the riskier songs both thematically and in its production. With it, Aaliyah started incorporating rock into her songs. There are many parts on the album where one can feel the influence of Janet Jackson, and this is one of them. The other rock track, album closer and personal favorite, What If, was produced by J-Dub. He also contributed the dramatic and expansive I Refuse. This was my favorite song on the album on first listen. J-Dub said the following about it. I put Horses on and The Rain, and from there I started playing the piano. I built from the piano to the strings, and then after I really got the hook going, I put a live guitar in it. I think Static was in the studio that night with us, and Static heard it and he immediately went in the booth and wrote it. Whatever that first verse is, he started singing and said, "That's it." We knew it was it, and when we played it for her, she went crazy. From there she cut it, and after she cut it, that's when I went in with the orchestra and we did our part. The mix was huge. I think we did 106 virtual tracks in that mix. We had an SSL board plus an extension. It was a huge mix, but it was a huge record, and I'm really happy how it came out. There were a lot of songs done for the third album, with sessions happening across 3 years. Some of them have leaked and some were never finished, but I will try to compile all of them here. Over the years, people who worked on the album have shared photos of CDs and tapes from different studios that have given us a glimpse into the process of the album, like this one from the Sing Sing studio in Australia. In it, we can see songs that Aaliyah recorded or partially recorded for the album. Perhaps the most important one on this list is Steady Ground, a song that leaked after her passing and that was confirmed to be on the album and even planned to be a single. It all changed when J-Dub's engineer lost the background vocals and Aaliyah was unable to re-record them due to time pressure from Virgin to get the album out. It's such a beautiful song. I have compiled a list of all the songs that I could find that remain unreleased or have leaked online. A lot of the others on the CD leaked as reference tracks sung by Static Major. They Say Quit Hating is one of the songs done by Key Beats that has leaked in different forms and remixed by different producers. Aaliyah's vocals on the song also appear on He Keeps Me Shaking, and a version of that song released as part of Timbaland's mixtape in 2015. Some of my personal highlights are Time, Dancing, Quit Hating, and You Never Do a Thing For Me. Most of these songs can be found on YouTube. Then we also have Don't Know What to Tell Ya from the sessions with Timbaland, which was released on the I Care For You compilation. The song features the demo vocals from Aaliyah. Other songs on the compilation like Erica Kane, All I Need or Miss You are part of the earlier sessions done for the album in 1999. After listening to some of these unreleased tracks, I admire Aaliyah's ear even more. She could have picked a lot of these songs that felt like a continuation of the One in a Million album, but she went for edgier sounds and subject matter. I find the way the themes on the album are treated quite refreshing. While it's mainly about romantic relationships, we have a song about domestic abuse or another one about accepting to be the other woman in a man's life. She talks about gossip and envy in relationships, and some of these tracks are actually quite confrontational. With this album, Aaliyah embodied a risk-taking artist fully in control and unafraid of exploring darker subjects. This was a very bold move, especially considering this album came out at the peak of the teen pop era. And with this in mind came the challenge: how to sell the album to the masses. Even though Aaliyah's popularity was at an all-time high after Try Again, she wasn't a super seller or someone who was overexposed. So the challenge was to decide whether to place her within the conversation of the sounds of the era or completely out of it. And they went for the latter. The first single for the album was originally planned to be Loose Rap, a song that Aaliyah was really enthusiastic about. She was even planning the music video as of March 2001 when MTV reported about it. But something happened behind the scenes that changed this plan. We Need a Resolution featuring Timbaland ended up being the first single released in April 2001. I have to say, I wasn't sure about this song when I first listened to it. It was just too weird and too different from Try Again. Nothing else at the time sounded like it, and I'm not talking about the production only. It was the cadence and the vocals that felt very specific to Static Major's work. I came to my senses eventually and regarded it as a masterpiece now. But perhaps I was not alone in thinking that. The single underperformed and was probably not the hit they expected at first. It is understandable, but it was also too different from the previous Timbaland-Aaliyah hit that people knew, Try Again. There was also no big promotion aside from a few interviews. Aaliyah never got to perform the song live on any TV show. They were probably waiting to front-load the big TV spots for release week, but I always found it odd. The album was still months away and the label did nothing, although the music video did help it a bit, with the song reaching its Billboard Hot 100 peak of 59 at the end of June. The song, however, received great reviews from critics and only cemented that Aaliyah was willing to take risks.
Well, I decided to self-title this album Aaliyah, and I wanted to do that because my name is Arabic and it has beautiful meaning. It means the highest, most exalted one, the best, and I wanted the name to really carry the project.
The album was originally planned for June 19th, but it was pushed back. It finally arrived on the 17th of July of 2001. It was released a day earlier in Europe and 10 days earlier in Japan. It received mainly positive reviews, although not everybody saw the vision behind it, and they complained about how Timbaland didn't have more involvement. It opened at number 2 on the Billboard 200 and became the highest first week sales in Aaliyah's career at this point. The second single was also planned to be a Timbaland production, More Than a Woman, but once the album got released, Rock the Boat was the song that caught everyone's attention, and it started getting traction on the radio. After discussions with the label, Aaliyah fought to push Rock the Boat as the second single and agreed to do the music videos for both songs. With More Than a Woman promo already in motion, but radio playing Rock the Boat, it was a bit confusing at the time which one would be the follow-up single. Aaliyah performed More Than a Woman on 2 TV shows, the only live performances she did for any track on the album. Sadly, we all know what happened next. Just a month after the release of the album, Aaliyah shot 2 music videos back-to-back, More Than a Woman in Los Angeles and Rock the Boat, which started filming in Miami on August 22nd. The last photography for the video was shot over 3 days in the Bahamas. In the evening of August 25th, after wrapping up the video, Aaliyah and 8 others took a small plane back to Miami, but the plane crashed shortly after taking off, claiming the lives of all passengers. It's still hard to talk about Aaliyah's death. It's been even difficult to write this script at times. I was a teenager when she passed and she was my favorite artist in the world. My walls were covered with her photos, and I even had her silhouette and name painted after the promo photo for the album. Sadly, I couldn't find those photos to show you, but losing Aaliyah was a massive blow, and I'm sure those of you who were around at the time probably feel the same way. It's one of those shocking events where everyone remembers where they were. I don't want to cover too much of her death and the investigations that followed in this video. We've all seen the images, I don't want to see them or show them again. But unfortunately, this event is a pivotal part of the history of this album and how it affected the rollout. The album had already lost some momentum on the charts, despite having sold almost 500,000 units in the US alone. After her death, there was a surge in sales, which sent the album to number 1 from number 19 the previous week. By the week of September 19th, the album had already sold 1 million copies. Rock the Boat peaked at number 14 on the Billboard Hot 100, and the music video, which was released at the beginning of October, received praise from fans and critics and helped the performance of the single. More Than a Woman was released at the beginning of 2002 and peaked at number 25 on Billboard. It was a big hit in Europe, particularly in the UK, where it became Aaliyah's first and only number 1. I Care For You became a promo single that gained radio airplay after her death. It peaked at number 16 on the Billboard Hot 100 in October 2001. To date, there is conflicting information about the album's sales worldwide. Enemy magazine reported 13 million copies sold, while others mentioned 6 or 3 million copies worldwide. I think between 3 and 6 is a more realistic number. But the music is not the only thing that makes this album a classic. The visuals and the evolution of Aaliyah's image were also an important piece of the puzzle.
I always had creative control where my career is concerned, but I've become a little bit more comfortable with being articulate about exactly what I want. And when it came to this album, I told them exactly what I wanted to convey with this project, and it was delivered to me, and I'm very happy about it. And when it comes to every aspect of my career, I have the final say and I have that control, and that's very important to me because this is my life.
It's impossible to discuss Aaliyah without discussing her looks and the visual identity she created during her short career. Aaliyah had always separated herself from her peers by having a more mysterious and elusive look. She also carried the mix of tomboy with femininity as one of her most recognizable traits. Her hairstyle covering one eye became a talking point during the 1 in a million era, as people thought she had a lazy eye. So for the new era, they decided to leave that hairstyle behind and create a more mature, timeless look. Everything lined up perfectly. The fashion, the makeup, the hair, her attitude. She looked more confident and more in control than ever. One of the running themes across the visuals from the era was the appearances of snakes, inciting danger and ambiguity, like in this David LaChapelle photoshoot or the We Need a Resolution video. The video was directed by Paul Hunter, and it's remembered for its dark aesthetic and some of its futuristic scenes. It instantly became one of her best videos upon release. Paul Hunter talked about the concept behind the video on the Vibe article. I think that idea was about danger. I don't know if it was her idea or my idea, but ultimately it was about her being in control of something that was dangerous or that could create some sort of tension in the story, and that ultimately she was in control of it. Aaliyah always wanted something that was different from what was going on. She always wanted to stand out. She wanted her visuals to stand out. We were very clear about connecting to the roots of her vibe and what she was all about, what she established with her audience. We worked hand in hand to make sure that came across. For the More Than a Woman video, directed by Dave Meyers, they went with the motorcycle motif, which feels like an evolution from the 1 in a million era. Aaliyah is shown inside the engines of the vehicle in an all-dance video. It also gave us one of her most iconic looks. For Rock the Boat, the sunny beaches and crystalline waters of the Bahamas tied the visuals to the theme of the song perfectly. She looks angelic throughout, and it feels fitting that these were the last images of Aaliyah. There were many photoshoots done for the era which created some of her most iconic imagery, like these photos by Jonathan Mannion. They perfectly captured the quiet confidence and mystery that became such a defining part of Aaliyah's appeal. The album cover is also a classic image. It was shot by Albert Watson and designed by Warren Fu. Both the photographer and artwork designer were interviewed in the Vibe article. Warren Fu said the following: "I was sent proofs for so many of the top photographers of the day, including Albert Watson, Jonathan Mannion, and David LaChapelle. To be completely honest, my favorite photos of her were from Jonathan Mannion. But of all the photos, there was one photo from Albert Watson that spoke to me. It was a symmetrical composition, with Aaliyah facing directly at you, with a look of confidence and maturity. Perhaps it was a reaction to her being mysterious and aloof behind her sunglasses in previous covers, but this particular photo seemed to say, 'Here I am. This is me.' It just felt like her arrival from her adolescent years to womanhood. I think the cover was more of a result of understanding her vibe and stage in her career. The fact that she also picked my favorite cover shows that we were on the same wavelength. I wasn't sure why I decided to tint the cover photo red at the time, but there is something so bold and celebratory about it. It just felt right." The legacy of this album has only grown over time. As I mentioned earlier, the album was already highly regarded when it came out, but it's also true that when an artist passes away, the perspective changes. I don't think this is the case for Aaliyah. Those of us who were lucky enough to be around when she was still alive know that she was considered a trendsetter, someone who had her own personal style and who had built her own lane in a short amount of time. She was already a fashion icon as well. And while this album is the masterpiece we all know and love, it only pointed towards a potential that was sadly never realized. The album also helped define where R&B and pop music would eventually go. The intricate production, genre expansion, and understated vocals are all elements that have carried through all the way to music in 2026. And most importantly, this album still feels fresh. It hasn't aged. This is something that cannot be said about One in a Million, for example. While that album was pivotal to the history of R&B and the evolution of its sound, I thought it already sounded of its time when I listened to it for the first time in 2000. I don't feel the same way about the Red album. Every time I listen to it, I'm blown away by how well made it is. For many years after her passing, it was us, the fans, who kept her memory alive. Her music was not on streaming. There wasn't an official channel other than a website and a forum that didn't last that long, and it was only with the rise of social media and fans getting to positions at magazines, allowing them to write about her, that we started hearing more about Aaliyah. But it was also the fact that her music finally became available on streaming in 2021. This is one of the most mind-blowing parts of her legacy. Her music wasn't widely available during the streaming years, but a lot of people never forgot about her, and she still became an influence for them. And the list goes all the way back, from Destiny's Child to Brandy, Tinashe, Kelela, Jessie Ware, Drake, SZA, Rihanna, Beyoncé, Ciara, Solange, the list goes on and on. Aaliyah's influence, her genre bending, and the use of her voice in particular can be heard beyond R&B these days. Another big part of her enduring appeal is that she always had an air of mystery around her. I don't think Aaliyah would have been a big fan of social media these days. She was reserved and let people draw their own conclusions rather than over-explaining or oversharing. I think Aaliyah has a complicated legacy with a lot of moving parts. It's been exhausting in the past few years to see her remembered or mainly talked about for some of the darker chapters in her life. I have even seen people blaming her inner circle, claiming that nobody around her protected her. I think there could be some truth to it, but I also think it takes away her agency. Yes, she was very young, but she also had been in the industry for pretty much all her life, and assuming that she didn't know what was best for her and couldn't make her own decisions is missing a crucial point. We can't forget that she was only 17 when she handpicked Timbaland and Missy Elliott to work with her on One in a Million, an album that was so innovative that it redefined the sound of R&B. With Aaliyah, she took even greater control. She was the executive producer, and she was shaping not only the music, but the visual identity and collaborators behind the project. She didn't rely on AR teams or record label execs to tell her what to do. She made her own decisions. Aaliyah was a curious person who saw her career as more of an all-around entertainer, and she was well on her way to it. She had movie roles booked for the Matrix sequels, even having shot a couple of scenes already. She was also due to appear in Sparkle alongside Whitney Houston. I highly recommend you check out her audition song for the movie, a chilling cover of Donny Hathaway's Giving Up. She also had plans on working with Korn for some remixes of the amazing Queen of the Damned soundtrack, and also with 9 Inch Nails. This always pains me because an Aaliyah and Trent Reznor collaboration would have blown us all away. But nobody knows for sure what was in store for her. I just know she would be making incredible music. I would have also loved her seeing writing her own songs. Sadly, we only got the 1 in a Million era B-side Death of a Playa, which she co-wrote with her brother Rashad. It makes me really sad to think about all of this. But there is some solace in thinking that her legacy has lived on all these years later. What I really want to point out is that perhaps Aaliyah was not building her career towards commercial success, at least in a sustained way, but rather becoming a respected auteur. She was already halfway there with only 3 albums and a handful of soundtrack songs and collaborations. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind that she would have gone on to do amazing, innovative, forward-thinking creations in her career. I want to share my top 5 songs from the album, but first, here are some physical editions from the era. The first thing I have here are my CDs from back in the day. I decided to add the Try Again one because it was a bonus track on the European editions of the album. I have a couple of promo singles, including this French More Than a Woman I Refuse promo. I'm a big fan of the remixes of Try Again and Rock the Boat. Not so much the More Than a Woman ones, and kind of sad We Need a Resolution didn't get a remix package. It would have been interesting to see the song transformed through remixes. I have 2 editions of the album, the regular and the deluxe with a carton slipcase. That's the one I got on release day. It has a fold-out poster instead of the booklet from the standard edition. This is the original UK pressing. It was one of the first albums I bought on vinyl when I started my record collection. Practically all the reissues replicated the gatefold image. And this is a very good sounding pressing overall. Here I have the infamous Blackground Store exclusive from 2023 that took 84 years to arrive. It follows the same design and it comes in these gorgeous splatter discs. This is my favorite edition of the album, looks and sound-wise. I did a comparison video with all the pressings from the album and other Aaliyah vinyl, you can check it out. This is the first of 2 We Need a Resolution singles. This is the UK release that comes without a spine and includes the instrumental and bonus track Messed Up. Next is the US promo. I prefer this cover actually. And this includes the no rap version that was quite elusive back then. This is the 1-disc version of More Than a Woman with the instrumental and the Bump and Flex remix, which is decent. And here I have the 2-disc promo with the Masters at Work remixes. Not a fan of them. Finally, the Rock the Boat single, which includes my 2 favorite remixes of the era. They are both dance remixes, a little bit similar, but I really enjoy them. It is extremely hard to pick a top 5 as it has changed over time, and it was even difficult to make it for this video, but here's me trying. I would place at number 5, More Than a Woman. At number 4, Rock the Boat. It's Whatever would open the top 3. At number 2, I Care For You. And at number 1, the incredible We Need a Resolution. As honorable mentions, I would add What If, I Refuse, and I Can Be, although I could pretty much add the whole album, to be honest. This album introduced us to a new, more mature Aaliyah. A woman taking control of her artistry and showing us a future that tragically never came to be. Her memory is still very much alive through all the artists she influenced, all the people who loved her, and us, the fans, who will never fully get over losing her. Aaliyah will always be remembered as a visionary, a full-on entertainer, and a good person. That's all for today's video. I hope you enjoyed it. Let me know in the comments your favorite memories from the era, and subscribe if you haven't yet. Thanks for watching. See you next time.